What do you think about Jacob and Co?
I've spoken well of him for the last 15 years.
You've seen the evolution of the brand.
Oh, I've seen the evolution. I've seen it go from a 6-foot showcase on 47th Street to where he is today. You see a lot of people, especially in the industry, they'll talk shit about him and this, that, and the other. And over the years, I realized that
in the corporate watch world or like gray market? Or
both.
Both.
And I realized that a lot of that stems from jealousy.
100%.
Right? Now,
because it's huge.
Jacob is an old school businessman. Comes from hardcore 47th Street blood and this, that, and the other. So yeah, put on some bulletproof underwear when you're doing business with. Does that make him a bad person? No, it makes him a shrewd businessman, right? People have always asked me about iconic watches and my things. And you name your usual suspects, the Tank, the Royal Oak, right? You name the usual suspect. The Least Nardam Freak to me is an iconic watch, to me, right? Because of how much tech came from that watch 25 years ago. This year is going to be 25 years of the Freak. Speaking of which, this is one I wear. This is the one that won the GPHD award last year, right? So the amount of tech that from 25 years ago to today, when Ludwig Oschling decided I'm going to make a watch that has no dial, no hands, right? It was such an avant-garde idea because Rolf Schneider wanted something completely new and fresh when he took over the company. Unfortunately, he died too soon. Otherwise, the company would be in a different place right now. But Jacob & Co. 5-time zone watch with a Hong Kong movement and a 1.5 carat, 1.2 carat diamond bezel in 47 millimeters to me is one of the top iconic watches in the world. And not because of what was in it. That watch cost Jacob, I don't know, $1,000 to make, maybe, right? Maybe at the time. Think about what it did for the world of watches. Think about the world that it merged. Think about that watch. It
inspired a lot of people.
Merging the world of hip hop with the snooty, white glove, suit and tie, corporate type of fucking vibe when it comes to watches, right? Think about what that watch did for the music industry. I remember, back then when pre-08 crisis, Russia and Moscow and the former Soviet republics were the biggest markets. We just saw a ton of stuff there. A socialite in Moscow was not a socialite unless you had a Jacob 5-time zone in a matching Hermes bag. That was a thing. He made a culture out of it. Now let's look at the progress. Now Jacob realized that let's just see how can I take this and go from 0 to 100, right? So what does Jacob do? He goes out to Concept. Concepto started in 2006, and they were a watch factory like no other. Their thing was to bring the latest and greatest tech to the manufacturer of watches, allowing them to create some of the things that they create. The Bugatti watch, they didn't know that thing was going to work until they put it together and wound it. They did not know if it was going to work.
It was just a big test.
And Jacob, you know what he did? He went to the Bugatti factory and he saw the Bugatti. You know how they take something, they take it apart into pieces and kind of hangs in midair? Yeah. Like a model, but all the pieces are separated. He saw that, and he said, I want that in a watch. And he came to them and they're like, you're crazy. You're fucking nuts. Yeah. Right? And again, you look at the Astronomia, you look at things like the Bugatti watch, you look at watches like the Casino watch, you look at a lot of the things, you look at the double sphere tourbillons.
Yeah, it's impressive.
So Eric Coudreau was the one that technically made that first. It's arguable, but I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. But if you look at the tech behind it, this is what I keep telling people. I said, look past the bling. And notice he didn't lose his identity. Because now you have a watch, latest release, the 4D tourbillon, right? So he has a tourbillon that spins around 3 axes on its own, and then it also goes around the dial. It's the first of its kind. It's the first time you have a tourbillon that spins. Technically, it's a 4D tourbillon. You've had 3D tourbillons. Again, arguably, was it Frank Mueller? Was it Thomas Prescher? We don't really know. Supposedly, credit goes to Frank Mueller to create the first 3D tourbillon, but I know Thomas Prescher did it as well. I was in Basel in 2005 when it was introduced. Wow. So whatever, that's arguable. But it's a complex thing to begin with, right? And also the speed at which each sphere turns inside the tourbillon is a whole other topic we can talk about it for hours. But now he introduced that. People are now finally starting to see past the king of bling. They're starting to see past, gaudiness and flashiness. He never lost that. That was in his DNA. His DNA was flash. His DNA was something gaudy, something that shows, I have money.
Yeah.
But yet he was able to introduce horology at its highest level, like the Godfather watch and so on and so forth, yet still staying true to his DNA. Luckily, Benjamin, his son, finally convinced him to make a smaller Bugatti that I could actually wear because this watch is also very big.
Have you owned one before?
I've owned plenty of them.
Really? The Bugattis?
Yeah. I was the second person to receive the new Bugatti that came out after Jay-Z. I was so proud of that, by the way. I was like a fucking dork running around Geneva. So I land in Geneva. Jay-Z puts the watch on his wrist at the Fanatics Fest in New York. I don't know if you guys went there. Insane show. They literally set up a miniature 40-40 club inside the Javits Center. It was insane.
I don't think
so
I saw
Jay-Z is walking around and he's wearing the new Bugatti. Now it's splattered all over the news, yada, yada, yada. And
Roman's in GQ.
I go to Geneva. Was it Geneva Watch Days or Watches of Wonders? One of them. I don't remember. No, it had to be Watch Days because the Fanatics Fest was in the summer. So whatever, it doesn't matter. I talked to Benjamin, and which by the way was a great move for Jacob to name him the new CEO. He's a really smart kid. And one of his girls, I go to the opening day of Geneva Watch Days. They have like this thing set up outside, and Jacob had his stuff set up, and the Bugatti was in there. I'm like, what's up? I get one, I put it on, I wore it the entire thing. And I got some wrist time with it. I got to play around with it. And I've seen the other older Bugattis, but this was just perfect. And then Benjamin, I did an interview with him. He said, Roman, you have no idea, because the first question I asked him was like, how does it like to work with your Baharian father, right? And he, and you guys can relate somewhat to that.
Yeah.
And he's like, you have no idea how long it took me to convince him to make it smaller. And then when I convinced him to do that and the prototype came out, he goes, okay, where are we putting the diamonds? He's like, no, Dad, no diamonds, right? He's like, that took a little while. But I understand they're trying to find a happy medium between a client that appreciates the high horology and also the client that appreciates the bling, right? So you have to have both.
It's a very unique client with the bling, because it's kind of like, would you say it's kind of like I don't want to say a cousin, but it's like a variation of MBNF or a variation, like with the hot horology part. Because the client with the gems and the hot horology, that's a very specific client.
But then,
tough, yeah.
but then here's the thing is that he brought up the high horology to match because
Quality of the
the
gems.
best of quality. You look at his rainbow tourbillons. The one, funny enough, the rainbow tourbillon that Tom Brady wore during the Super Bowl show, the yellow one, the caviar,
yellow.
the caviar.
Those sick these.
I had that watch. I was going on the Patrick Bet-David podcast, and I was bringing some watches. I brought a bunch of watches to show him and to talk about, like some, basically show the world how big our dick is, some Richard Mille, some $1 million this, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then I called Benjamin. I'm like, look, I'm going to be on PBD. I don't have a Jacob at the moment that I want to show, but I want to show one. So I stopped by the boutique in Bal Harbour Mall on the way. I picked up the watch, and that's the one I took. And then a few days later, I'm like, wait a minute, I just had that watch. I mean, I borrowed it, right, for the
Yeah,
podcast.
that's crazy.
It's pretty cool to let you take it.
Yeah. Listen, I've always been an open book, and I've always spoke highly of Jacob while everybody deserved to talk shit about him because I saw the vision early on. I knew where this is going to get. When the first Astronomia came out, when The Godfather came out, I saw the vision. I see where he's going
100%.
without losing his identity, which is what impressed me the most. 2005, maybe 6, Basel World, because the watch show used to be in Basel. Now it's in Geneva. I go there with an AD that I work with closely, and the idea was just like, guy happened to be Russian speaking, and we would go from brand to brand. And we're going back to times where things, more dressier watches were popular. So Blancpain, Glashute, all the other Richmond groups.
What year? Like
2005.
dress watches were
Yeah, dress watches were king. You can give away a fucking...
large or
No.
Yeah, like 37,
The
36.
bigger and better was just starting with the offshores. But back then, dress watches were still... The Patek's that were selling over list were still dress Patek. You couldn't give away a Nautilus.
Wow.
Back then, you could buy a Nautilus for $22,000. A 3710 would cost you under 10 grand back then.
Wow.
Aquanauts were $5,000-$6,000, right? So
That's nuts.
again, this is 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So this was 2006, I think, or maybe 7. Irrelevant. We get down there, and the thing is, you would go door to door and place an order for Hublot. Hublot was the hottest shit ever back then. Place an order for Hublot, place an order for Glashute, Blancpain, whatever lines you carried, and I would sit there in Russian and I would tell him, and he would introduce me as like, yeah, this is my cousin Rahman Rahmanovich from Kazakhstan or some shit. Like make something up in every single booth. And it got to a point where it's like funny. One of the booths we get to is like, yeah, this is my cousin Rahman Rahmanovich. He's from a country called Lick My Krakistan. Have you heard of it? And he goes, yeah, sure, monsieur. Yeah, heard of it. Like, it got funny, right? And I would place my orders quietly. So let's say if he ordered 30 pieces, 5 of those would go to me. Like I would commit to them and I would pay for them, and the dealer would get 10 over cost, take his little profit, and I would take the watches. That's how it was. One night he had a meeting with Jacob. Now Jacob has always done it big. Till this day he does it big, and he did it big back then. The hotel is called the Three Kings. It's impossible to get a room there during the fair, and anybody stayed in that hotel. It's super expensive, and it was the hotel in Basel. In fact, if you visit Basel, I should suggest you stay there. It's a beautiful hotel.
Three Kings?
It's called the Three Kings. Tres, I forget how it goes in French.
Business expense.
I'm sitting, so the way the Three Kings is, it's a palace. The way it's set up, there's like a dinner hall in the back where they're all having dinner. And I see Jacob running around with two big diamond rainbow tourbillons on, beautiful suit. You know how he is, right? And I'm sitting in like a lobby bar lounge area with my laptop, and I'm just doing my thing, whatever, because I didn't have anything better to do. So I was like, let me get some work done. And I'm sitting in that room, and I said, one day, I said, I'm going to be at dinner with this guy. We're going to be sitting across from each other on even basis with mutual respect. And then fast forward a bunch of years, and that happened. I told Jacob that story, like how it comes full circle. That I said, I saw you many years ago, and I said, I'm going to be sitting at a table at a dinner with you, one-on-one, as equals. More, I would say equals, meaning that with equal mutual respect. His company's a bit bigger than mine, obviously, but it was me. So the dinner was me, him, Benjamin, and my CMO. We were discussing a few things, and I told him the story. Like, he got a little emotional because it's a true story. And so when you ask me about Jacob, and people ask me about Jacob, I tell everybody that, look, I have the utmost respect for what he has accomplished, for where he came from, where he is today. I know that every single other Baharian on 47th Street that's trying to do something with blinged out watches, they're all trying to be like him.
Yeah.
He
We're
set the
seeing
standard.
A few guys. I'm sure you have a few friends already on the block that you
Yeah,
know
of course.
that are, they're getting there.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Listen,
It takes time.
Avi
Yeah.
is one of them, right? The boys at Pristine are another. There's a few others that are trying to do their own thing, but he's lightning years ahead. First of all, he is the godfather of that, pun intended,
Literally.
right?
No one can ever beat him. It's not possible.
It's not about beating him. It's about taking it, because what he did is he created the market. It's kind of like when eBay started. We started selling watches on eBay. eBay was e-commerce, and what eBay didn't pay attention to over the years is how many other pieces were taking chunks of them. So selling watches and jewelry on eBay was the #1 platform in the world. And then when Corona 24 came about, they took that chunk out of eBay. When websites that sold, let's say, baseball cards, they took a chunk out of that because eBay was it. They were e-commerce in its whole. What eBay, because they have so many genres across, you sell anything on eBay, they didn't realize just that people would come in and do something a little bit better and take a chunk of that business. That's what Jacob did. He created that world, and now you have others that are coming in and taking a chunk of that. But they're not taking a chunk. They're not taking a chunk of him. They're just making the market bigger.
So he's a market maker.
Exactly. He created that market.
Would you say it's not even about the product? It's more like the personal brand that he built the company.
Of course.
You see
That's any company.
His name is in the company.
From Jacob. Like,
Well, yeah.
He's Jacob. He's Jacob the jeweler. In Philly, we have Alex the jeweler, Johnny the jeweler, this one the jeweler. There's a million something the jeweler, right?
It's true.
Where did that come from, right? And he was Jacob the jeweler, and then he went to Jacob and Co. But it's still Jacob. People will remember Jacob. Of
course.
God willing, he lives another 100 years, but they will remember him much longer. He now took a personal brand, a personal name, and created it into a global brand. You got a Jewish guy building the tallest residential tower in the Middle
Dubai.
East, right? Shaking hands with sheikhs, and bridging that gap. Think about that. Right? Think about how powerful his name is. Now, he's not actually building it. He's the designer behind it. It's his name that's behind it, right? But that's how important your name is.
I remember I was in Hong Kong, and I'm with Danny, actually. And we went to the Peninsula Hotel, and we see a Jacob store. And I'm so surprised. I'm like, wow, one of the best hotels
I've stayed at the Peninsula.
Yeah, it's one of the best hotels ever. You go to the main stores. Every store is like top of the line. I asked the sales rep.
Did you ride in the green Rolls Royce?
No, I didn't get that service.
You didn't get that service?
No, I didn't stay there. Maybe
it's
next
cool
time.
though. You walk up there, you see like a line of them parked up.
Yeah,
they're all there.
I saw. But we're asking the sales rep. They said, yeah, we sell like 1 or 2 a month. And I'm like, it's pretty impressive for a random person to walk in, staying here, however much it is, $1,000 a night, and they're like, I'll take it, black card, $500,000 plus. It's a pretty big deal.
You said the keyword location, right? It's
they
where
spend money
you are.
too.
It's who sees you, who stays at the Peninsula, who stays across the street at the Intercontinental.
We went off a tangent with Jacob. So the reason why I mentioned is because he's one of our own. He's literally part of our tribe. Like, we look at him as an inspiration. He's literally Baharian. Because we think if this guy can do it, anyone can do it. He came roughly a few decades apart from our family.
Yeah, his family came in the 70s.
I remember my dad said, he's like, I remember the guy. He's like, I bought my engagement ring for your mother from him. And now,
He actually inspired our dad to make a watch. Remember, Pop had his own watch. He had his own 5 time zone type of watch.
He said because of Jacob, he said a lot of Bukharians at the time, in the early 2000s, including our dad, tried. He said it was so good, but he says we didn't want to keep up with it because he had to put so much into marketing and he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, free stuff.
Couldn't keep up with it.
Listen, we've tried our hand. We're also in the jewelry business, wholesale mainly, right? We tried our hand in creative. We've created plenty of our own lines of jewelry at a time, but it became a question. Okay, do I put a formula on it? You know, we invested a couple of $1 million into the jewelry itself, design, the website, whatever, and then we said, okay, we have 2 ways we can do this. We have $2 million of jewelry cost, right? We can probably sell it for around $3 million, which is a good profit, just by flipping it to other dealers and let it go into the wholesale space.
Wholesale.
Right, or which is good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, we designed a really nice line and it really looked good, right? Or do we just put another $5-6 million and let it sit and put it in the right places, like Saks Fifth Avenue? Because Saks Fifth Avenue, you actually rent the showcase.
Yeah.
Right? Do we pay Saks Fifth Avenue or Neiman Marcus to rent a case? Do we do a whole marketing campaign? Do we pay a celebrity and so on and so forth? Do we invest another $5-6 million in hopes of maybe creating a Damiani or whatever brand, mainstream brand, or definitely not Cartier, right? But that's also something that takes generations.
Yeah, it's not
What's most
easy.
impressive about Jacob is that it didn't take generations to create that. Cartier himself didn't
crazy,
see
yeah.
any stuff that's going on today. You know,
I'm assuming it's also because of the media aspect.
Yeah,
Like imagine if Cartier was Jacob's age and he was able to have that trajectory of like social media. Because like Jacob, their followers,
it's easier today.
Went
You're right.
from like 4 or 5 years ago, it exploded.
Of course.
Their attention. The average people.
But
not even in the
think
business.
of a celebrity that's not a Jacob client, like a hot celebrity today.
That's a
From
target
soccer
audience.
players to rappers to singers
all
to
of them.
K-pop singers to he has such a fucking Tom Brady,
Yeah.
the GOAT. You know, he wore 3 different Jacobs during
It's a big deal.
the pre-Super Bowl show.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about who has the most money to show. That's also why. Not just about like it looks cool and it's, a cool horology watch. It's more just like I have $1 million on my wrist.
But
you know,
Jacob, but
there's
Jacob,
that
but
aspect.
Jacob,
That's a lot of
but
people.
Jacob also got away from the label of being a hip hop watch,
Yeah, 100%.
right? Because now, besides Jay-Z, you have the Ronaldos, the Tom Brady's.
Yeah,
The
these are like
spectrum, the spectrum of his A-list celebrities is so diverse that you can't pinpoint. Say, oh, it's a hip hop watch. You got K-pop
And
stars
the unique
doing it.
aspect of like making the creation for them. That's just such a unique. Imagine you go to Patek or Cartier. It's like almost impossible
Yeah.
to get something for you. It's like an artist painting something for you.